skills and great understanding of different tools to help clients in their decision-making abilities and effectively analyzing the data. I request Dr. Vijay Kakkar sir to please welcome Mr. Shivam Gupta on stage by handing him a sapling.
Hi everybody. Good afternoon. So I guess we're running pretty late. So let's start. So first of all, this is the first technical session starting from the time management session which Aurora conducted. Let me tell you about a little about myself. Myself Shivam. I have been associated with BAJA for approximately 8 years right now. Initially, for the first 3 years, I was a participant, and after that, I was in the alumni committee. And right now, I am the alumni. I'm in the alumni support. So let me begin this session asking a basic question. Do anyone know what is a cost report? Or what things comprises in a cost report? What are the basic criteria on which we are creating a cost report? And why it is so important? Can anyone tell me? Anyone? Are you not interested? So basically, in jargon terms, cost report is nothing but all the costs that has been incorporated in the creation of a prototype, plus with the manufacturing process. There is a basic difference between a cost report and a sales presentation. So the cost report, or you say the setup cost and everything, that is totally different. And cost report is only all the parts and the manufacturing that has been used in creation of a particular prototype, which is your budget, right? One more question. So why the cost report is important? Do anyone know a company in India that has manufactured on a large scale a passenger vehicle, which is the cheapest one? Is a voice? So it was Tata Nano, though it has been discontinued, but it was still Tata Nano, right? Why it has been such a success? Because they incorporated the optimization of cost versus the reliability. No matter how much cheap vehicle you can make, if the vehicle is not reliable, then it is of no use. So in this session, we will talk about much more details that what all things you as a student can incorporate, which in your future, journey in your careers, everything will count, and you will have a process plan that how does this kind of things work. So first of all, talking about the scoring pattern, the cost report in BAHA itself divided in three parts, which is the cost report evaluation, phase 2 and phase 3. For all the teams, first two parts are there in which you have to submit a cost report for which the deadline is the 1st of November, and then the cost evaluation happens, which is in the phase 2, which is I guess on 1st of December. The bonus points, which is the phase 3, are 15 points, which is only for the top 10 teams. No matter what happens, you are not allowed to manipulate the report. Like for example, if you are a top 10 team, you say that I have used metal or steel in my vehicle in any of the parts, and then you are replacing it with aluminum, just saying that it is a cheap, or maybe it has low weight. The alumni team itself incorporates and checks that the report which you have submitted initially matches the final report that you are having. So what is the cost evaluation flow? First of all, the initial report that you get from the forum itself in the release doc. Then the first deadline was for OEM submission form. So this year, Baha has made two, three different changes, and one or two changes that they are enforcing. Like for last year, it was not required, but this time it is required. You'll get to know once we go flow through this one. So we have introduced an OEM form. So OEM form says that in Annexure 2, you can see there are predefined parts. For example, I can take in suspension, you're talking about dampers, and which is a Fox XYZ model damper. We, from our analysis and our market research, we have incorporated for XYZ model, the cost of that particular damper is 20,000. A student comes to me and say that, sir, I bought this for 40,000. That may have so many reasons. There might be another case in which a team comes to me and say that I have bought this part for 10,000, so that's why I might quote this as a 20,000. There could be various reasons. For example, that student have purchased that product as a second hand from a different team, or they are getting some like mismanaged product, or this is a wear and tear that has been happened in that product. So that's why, due to standardization of the process, what we have encountered that either you are using a new part and an old part or a repair part, you have to encounter the retail price of that particular part. In Annexure 2, you can see there are various sections. For example, in transmission, brakes, suspension, XYZ, and you can find all the parts. If any of the part is missing from that Annexure form, what we have done is there was a deadline of 29th of September which said that if that part is not present there, you need to fill out a form in which you need to incorporate the invoices as well. Then from our validation, we'll find it out that if that cost is justified or not or something like that, and then we'll reshare the annexure form. So the resharing of that annexure form or the detailed like updated cost report which you get from us for the first hand, that will get updated. I guess by the end of this week you might have it get if any one of you have filled out the annexure form. Then you'll submit the cost report, and after that, the submission of cost report and deadline that happens, which is the first of the November. So the changes which I was talking about, what basic change that we have incorporated is we have introduced a separate OEM sheet. So earlier in sub-assembly, the OEM sheet was mentioned, right? But right now there is a separate tab which is mentioned in your Excel file. I guess it's beside to the annexure 2, which says that OEM components, as you can see. So this is the overview of OEM components. You cannot mismanage or misconduct or mishandle the report. It is I guess password protected. So in the first, okay, no use. So in the first, you can see till the make, like subsystem parts and make. This is a data validation. Data validation means there is a drop down. You can't edit that. You need to select all the parts from there. You need to also check the model. So every data it is coming from the annexure report. That's why we are saying that the annexure tab we will give you updated one, and from that you can get all the parts that are required for. Then the cost has been automatically populated. One key point to remember that you might find the text, like for example, that cost is written in red text. So all the cost which is written in red, you can't edit it. It's all based upon calculation, or the data is coming from somewhere else. You can't do anything. The second change that we have done, okay, one more point. All OEM components should be entered in the OEM sheet. Even if it's a part of, for example, if it's parts of suspension, the damper needs to be added over here only. You need not to add the dampers over there because the cost will be calculated twice, which is a pain point for you. So the second change, till last year there was Form A and Form B. Form A was basically a summary of Form B, and Form B had all the key points, the sub-assembly and all the manufacturing process. So right now what we did is, we remove all the two forms and we have combined everything together. as you can see. Please let me know if you have questions. You can interrupt in between as well. So this is a sample OEM form. So for example, the first one is subsystem, the part is CVT, and the make is the manufacturer and the model. And then you have purchase and X is the vendor. So these kind of things are predefined from the data validation, and the cost itself comes up here. For example, even if after submitting the OEM exception form, you come up like you need one more OEM part. So what you do is the first 100 lines of this report itself is blocked. You can't edit it, but after that you can manually enter and the cost itself get totality. So this is the subsystem form. So earlier form A and form B were different, but this time this is only one form. So over here also, all the red marks are there that are not editable, that is automatically calculated. So let me give an example with the roll cage. When we say that this incorporates the manufacturing process as well, so you need to account each and everything. Why cost report is so important and why detail you should make it, because it basically tells that what is student mind going on, that they know that how many processes that they are incorporating, creating any of the subsystem. So for example, in roll cage, so you mentioned the roll cage, part name, roll cage, and real frame, quantity, and the material cost. I'll tell you how the material cost appears and how the labor cost appears. So you go in there is a subsection which says line 1. So line 1 means all the details from the first part are mentioned over there. We are just, we are making a summary over top similar to last year. This is basically the upper part is form A and the lower part is form B. So in the B part, you're mentioning all the parts that you have procured. For example, raw material, you're taking pipes, tubes. You enter all the details and the value itself gets calculated. The main important part is the processing part. In roll cage, what is basically done? You take a pipe, you cut a pipe, you weld it. There might be some bending process, some grinding process that has been required. Everything needs to be calculated. And in the same way, in an Excel, you can find, what is the amount for probably welding. Like over here, cut pipe is based upon meter, I guess. It's 12 rupees meter, so that needs to be calculated along that way. Also, fixtures and jigs are also required. So when I say that difference between a mass manufacturing product and a prototype. So for example, in mass manufacturing, you are saying that you are having 3 different or 4 different production lines. In that, you can create 4 different jigs and fixtures. So you have only 4 fixtures for your mass production. Take an example of 4,000 as per the sales report. In that, what will happen? That 4 fixtures will have a cost equivalent, or that will be used for 4,000 different vehicles. So usually the cost will go down. Obviously, whenever you will mass produce something, the cost will evidently go down. But in prototype cost, each and every process, each and every tool that you have used, in this case, JSON section needs to be calculated. So, in my experience, this page is incomplete because in roll case section they have not added the fixtures part. You need to incorporate the material which is required in fixtures, laser cutting the process. This is just a mere example. There might be other processes as well. Don't go by my name. And welding, which is also required. So these kind of things need to be incorporated. Cost report, the single agenda on scoring multiple levels on cost report is how detailed you make it and how cost efficient you make it. There is no competition in such a way where you can say that if A team has made a prototype of 4 lakhs and second team has made a prototype of 5 lakh. In my expertise, the 5 lakh team can win that competition because it might require that till what optimum level that they have used the process. They might have got the raw material a little bit higher, or they have used some different process. But yeah, it can go that way as well. So what are the parameters that are affecting the cost report? First is it depends upon the kind of material selection. In case of knuckle, you are saying that you can use cast iron, but you can use aluminum as well if the weight is going down. No doubt that the cost is also incorporated in that particular concept. It may depend upon your discretion and the kind of reliability that you're expecting from your vehicle. If your vehicle is super light, if it can't enter the endurance race, then there is no point of that particular vehicle. Second is the kind of manufacturing process that has been used. There are further case studies also, which will itself define that what we're trying to make a point over here. The size of the raw material that is also getting used, and the OEM part and the assembly time that are you assembling. So, for example, if you are making way too much complex geometries, let us take an example of a brake assembly. If there are 10 different parts and your assembly time or the labor time in that particular part is 2 hours, that way what you can do is probably minimize the number of assembly parts so that the time is reduced. So your overall labor cost will also go down. These nitty-gritty points make a huge count when you're trying to evaluate each and everything. Moving next. So parameter affecting cost report, as I mentioned, choosing the appropriate manufacturing process, labor cost and manufacturing time will change. Using jigs and fixture requirement, that gives you accuracy as well. So yeah. Also using conventional designing methods so that everything is simplified in that particular form. Like over here, you can see the first picture line is the cast that they have dyed it out, and then in the second one, then they have used the CNC machine in it. For example, if you are forging something or you're making a cast or something, so that particular cast is also incorporated with the prototype cost. You need to make sure that if a part is present in the market itself, or we can have some different process of creating that same part, what thing is betterment for your team or for your overall design or the benchmarking you have actually done. One example is like, let's take an example of master cylinder. So master cylinder, that there are various master cylinders which are available in the market from the pricing starting to 300, from 300 to 1000 or something. Those are predefined master cylinders. For example, there's a master cylinder that has been used in Maruti 800, which is 3 by 4 inches bore size. That is probably 450 or something. It is upon your sense that what if you want to cast that thing out. That will have a huge implication of the cost report because you will create a die. You will create a die for plastic mold itself and the aluminum mold itself. So all these specs rise. These things might, we can take whenever we are deciding to go ahead with the mass production. Mass production calculation is totally different from the prototyping cost. Never confuse that one. Material selection. So for example, we are having two different materials. One is aluminum and another one is plastic sheet. It depends upon the usability of that particular material, where that material is getting used. So for example, aluminum is the cost of aluminum is 300 rupees per kg and the plastic is 140. But obviously the strength varies. So aluminum can be used in the belly pan itself, like under the driver, where he needs to, or not belly pan under the driver, where he needs to be secured from the debris on the track itself. But the plastic material can be used for the belly pan and for covering the side of the vehicles. It only depends upon the part or the assembly area or any which way that particular material is getting used. No, you do not need to increase your expense by adding aluminum to the whole roll cage of the vehicle. That might increase the weight and the cost of the vehicle too. So this was the master cylinder example which I gave. The criteria to be count the complexity. So if an OEM part is available, why you need to complex it? If your design is totally different, like for example, there is some unique design which is saying your bore size should be 0.64 inches. That is totally specific to your calculation. In that case, your team might go with creation of that particular master cylinder. But keeping the design way too simplified is the key aspect in case of OEM parts, not other ways. So this is another case study of what kind of manufacturing process that you can use. So in the first geometry you can see there's a knuckle assembly. So knuckle and spindle is one total part. For the first example, the material cost for that particular material cost in itself is the raw material. Like you have taken a billet of a specific size. So for that material, the cost is 20,000. The time of machine is in near about 3 hours, 3.5 hours. Labor cost is this. So your one knuckle is costing you 23,000. In the second case, what you can do is you can segregate the two parts. You have the knuckle different and the spindle different. What happens is in this case, you are required a smaller size billet. Raw material is less wasted. The manufacturing time in this is totally different. So, for example, in this case, everything is getting used in case of the CNC machining or VMC machining. In second case, only knuckle needs to be on the VMC machine with a smaller billet size. The spindle can be created on lathe machine as well. So the cost of lathe machine which is getting used in 1 hour is probably 100 rupees in comparison to the machining cost which is probably 350 an hour. So it depends upon you that what kind of process that you are getting. In second case, the cost is of the raw material is less. The material, the machining cost is less. Machining time, sorry. The labor cost is less. Hence, the total price of the part also gets less. There is one variation which is not written over here, which is the assembly time. So in this, you can see, I guess, there are 6 holes, so you need to probably, screw that. But I guess you need not to take more than 5 minutes to have those 6 screws, which is merely probably 7 or 8 rupees. In conundrum, you can see that you are saving approximately 50% if you have a different approach. So this is the value analysis that you need to do before the designing of a particular process. First is information gathering. You need to see that what kind of information is available in market. Same case of master cylinder. Master cylinder is available in the market and which kind of master cylinder you want to use. Basically get a draft of all the parts that are available which you can use or you need to replace it. Second is function and cost analysis. What kind of functions you want to perform on that and how much it will cost your team for that particular part. Third is generating ideas and evaluating. Say in the case of knuckle, where you need to benchmark stuff that how you can reduce the cost of a particular manufacturing process. That depends upon you. What kind of different approach you need to form it out. So you need to have a good member team to research things out whenever you are benchmarking. This is way too ahead of designing or something. This is the first part that you need to do. Third is design development. So once you have benchmarked this stuff, you need to see that how we are getting designed, and if you are like making any calculation, the brake calculation, you should do according to the material which is available in the market. Sometimes I've seen that team calculate things on their own, like taking any hypothetical number and going by that. In the end, they realize that shoot, that kind of master cylinder dimension is not available in the market. So then every process gets hindered due to one particular department. Third is implementation, the manufacturing and fabrication. Practices to avoid manipulating with the bill or quotations. The rule book also says that you cannot use the price listing available on any of the websites or any of Craigslist or second-hand stuff where you're getting. We need to have the proper verified bills or quotation will also work once you're submitting documents for cost report. But nothing from anywhere online that can happen over any no screenshot, nothing like that. The bills of all the components, including documentation, irrespective of it, has been mentioned in Annexure 2. So if you're adding after the 100th line, we need the bill for that. This also doesn't say that if we have entered a part in Annexure 2, for example, that suspension that the damper we are talking about, still we need bill for that. Even if the damper cost is 20,000, you have purchased either for 50 or for 10, we need a bill for that. We need a proof of purchase that you have bought that particular product. Even if you have taken second hand from your team, any different team, you need to ask a bill for that one. I've also seen teams say that we have taken a part from so and so team, so we are not having a bill. So that is you as a poor buyer, no one else. Also, don't try to manipulate with any of the formulas. Once the thing goes into final, we'll evaluate and see that if you have not There is, I guess, macros also installed in that, so it has an impression that anyone will, tries to enter with the password and everything. So best practice: apply cost reduction techniques, include components in the cost report. All the components should be there. Uh, do cost analysis and components of the vehicle. One thing that needs to be ensured is cost report is basically in the cost event there are two type of parts that they are taking place. One is, so I was mentioning that several things got changed this year. One thing is that so the first part is cost report and second one is prototype cost. In cost report that there are three documents that can be submitted at max. First is overview, second is the documentation. Documentation means the bills and everything that can be encountered, and the third is engineering drawing. Engineering drawing basically includes, for example, the brake assembly. You have created a disk for that one, the dimensions and all those things can be specified, and helps the judges in evaluating of the vehicle to a more nitty-gritty level. But in engineering drawing, you can have three different views: the front view, the side view, and the isometric view. So those are the three. And the first one, the most important, and which has been made mandatory this year, is the cost overview. So what overview said that I have been repeatedly mentioned in my presentation that you need to apply much of the cost reduction techniques. So overview deck is the perfect place to basically flaunt your work over there. You need to mention that what kind of strategies and techniques you have encountered in making that particular documentation. Even if you don't have anything, you are thinking that I have filled out a cost report and it might get complex for a certain person to understand. Then you need to debrief everything in that cost documentation. You can read more about this stuff in the report, which is like very much well explained. Yeah, thank you so much. Any questions? Yes, Mike. Yes.
Yeah, so my name is Vijay Taylor. And my question is regarding Annexure 2. In that, it is mentioned that CVT and its components and providers, right?
Yeah.
And in all OEM component form, there are subsystems of e-powertrain, right? What if we are using a gearbox and we are not using a CVT? Then what can we do? We cannot change the form, right?
You cannot change the form, but in that case, if you have not sent out the OEM, have you looked at the Google form that they sent out to you?
Yeah.
So that is the gearbox you have manufactured on your own.
Yes, we will design it and we'll
So that is not an OEM partner. You need to add that into the sub-assembly. For example, if
yeah, but do we need to fill the CVT part or not?
No, that needs to be blank. There is no enforcement in that.
Thank you.
Which is the one.
Good afternoon. I have various doubts. सबसे पहला डाउट है कि आपने बोला कि OEM में जितने कंपोनेंट्स फिल किए हैं उसको फिर सब सिस्टम में भी फिल करना है कि नहीं करना है?
नहीं करना. मैंने ये बोला कि उसको नहीं फिल करना. अगर फिल करोगे तो कॉस्ट रिपोर्ट में वो दो बार काउंट
डबल प्राइस आ जाएगी.
डबल प्राइस आ जाएगी. वो नहीं करना.
ओके. और दूसरा एक पैरामीटर है यूनिट का. उसमें तो फॉर एग्जांपल हमने बैटरी रखी है तो उसमें यूनिट में क्या रखे कि उसके हिसाब से कॉस्ट की इवैल्यूएशन हो. मतलब यूनिट में बैटरी हो गई, मोटर हो गई, जैसा कि उसमें यूनिट मतलब कौन से बेसिस पे यूनिट पे कॉस्ट मिलती है.
अगर बैटरी के अंदर बेसिकली है कि अगर तुमने बैटरी यूज करी है, अगर उस बैटरी के लिए माउंट बनाते हो ना तो नीचे यूनिट डालना पड़ता है, वरना तो बैटरी डालनी है.
मतलब उसमें पे यूनिट का
बैटरी आपने बनाई है?
नहीं, वो ये
नहीं डालना. उसके लिए कोई माउंट बनाया है, कोई केसिंग बनाई है. फॉर एग्जांपल आपने शीट मेटल की केसिंग बनाई है, ठीक है. आपने इतना बड़ा मटेरियल ले लिया, मटेरियल की कॉस्ट डाल दी, कटिंग कॉस्ट डाल दी, बेंडिंग कॉस्ट डाल दी, और अगर आपने कोई ग्रुप बनाया, कोई नट डाला है, उसमें नीचे कुछ बेली पैन के पास कुछ वेल्ड करके बनाए, ये मैं आपको लिटरली सारे प्रोसेसेस बता रहा हूँ।
हाँ।
तो ये सारे पार्ट यूज करने हैं, बट बैटरी नहीं डालना। बैटरी का कॉस्ट डालना है, बट बैटरी के लिए उसमें कोई प्रोसेस नहीं होगा, तो वो ब्लैंक रह सकता है। कोई चीज ब्लैंक रहेगी, उसकी कॉस्ट आगे कैलकुलेट नहीं होगी। अगर कोई चीज ब्लैंक रहेगी ना, तो आगे कॉस्ट कैलकुलेट नहीं होगी, उस पर कोई वैलिडेशन नहीं है। ऐसा नहीं है कि आपकी रिपोर्ट सबमिट नहीं होगी, वो रिपोर्ट सबमिट हो जाएगी, बट इन दिस केस सिर्फ पार्ट नेम में आएगा बैटरी, और अगर उसकी कोई माउंटिंग आएगी तो आपको यहाँ लिखना पड़ेगा। जैसे इसमें हाँ, रोल केज के नीचे सीट माउंटिंग लिखा है, इसमें ये नहीं लिखा कि मैंने सीट खरीदी है कि नहीं खरीदी, उन्होंने सिर्फ माउंटिंग बनाई है। वैसे ही आपको बैटरी की माउंटिंग बनानी है, बट कोई वैसा पार्ट नहीं डालना। और बैटरी को ओईएम में डाल सकते हैं?
हाँ, डाल सकते हैं।
बैटरी यस। गुड। एनी अदर क्वेश्चन? somebody raised hand on that side also.
So my question is that for the fixtures, like we are using the recycled material that is available in our college. So will we? So we have to add it on the course board also.
Recycled material
Like
as in आपके कॉलेज में शीट पड़ी हुई है, आपने शीट ले ली।
तो जैसे पाइप्स अवेलेबल है, हमने वर्कशॉप्स के अंदर जो पाइप्स यूज किए हैं, हमने वो यूज करके हमने फिक्सचर्स बनाए हैं, तो उसका क्या करेंगे?
इस केस में क्या है कि इफ यू हैव सम इनहेरिटेड मटेरियल, फॉर एग्जांपल आपके कॉलेज से आपको कोई मटेरियल मिल गया व्हिच इज रॉ मटेरियल, ठीक है, तो आपके पास ऑब्वियसली इसका कोई बिल तो है नहीं, तो आप क्या करोगे कि यू गेट अ कोटेशन फॉर दैट पर्टिकुलर मटेरियल, राइट। बट अगर आपके पास एक, मैं कह रहा हूँ, कास्ट आयरन की शीट पड़ी हुई है 10 mm की थिकनेस की, आप उसको वॉल्यूम में डाल दो ना, अगर उसमें कोई डेंसिटी आएगी, यूनिट आएगा, और उसका अमाउंट आएगी, जो भी रॉ मटेरियल की अमाउंट है, उसका वेट अपने आप कैलकुलेट हो जाएगा, और आपने यूनिट डाल देना कि कितने रुपीस यूनिट है। फॉर एग्जांपल आयरन केजीज में आता है, उसको अपने आप कैलकुलेट करके बता देगा, बट आपको उसका बिल प्रोक्योर करना पड़ेगा। बिल नहीं है तो भी चलेगा, कोटेशन डाल दो, किसी वेंडर से कोटेशन ले लो, कोटेशन आराम से।
जैसे कि मटेरियल हमने बाय नहीं किया,
हाँ,
मटेरियल जैसे कि वेस्ट मटेरियल होता है, जैसे कि
मैं वही आपको बता रहा हूँ कि आपने मटेरियल बाय नहीं करा तो आप हमें प्रूफ ऑफ परचेज नहीं, मतलब इस केस में प्रूफ ऑफ जो इनवॉइस इज प्रूफ ऑफ परचेज, बट कोटेशन इज नॉट प्रूफ ऑफ परचेज। इसलिए हम कह रहे हैं कि कईयों के पास पुराने साल का भी सामान रह जाता है, तो हम ये बोलते हैं कि आप उसके अंदर अपना कोटेशन डालो और वो मटेरियल इनकॉर्पोरेट कर लो। जो भी रॉ मटेरियल होता है ना, रॉ मटेरियल कभी साइज के हिसाब से नहीं आता, हमेशा वॉल्यूम के हिसाब से आता है। क्या वो किस वॉल्यूम में चाहिए, अपने को लोहा उठाया, कितने किलो लोहा उठाया, ठीक है।
तो और एक सेकंड डाउट है, जो कॉस्ट बोर्ड के अंदर एक था कि हमारी कॉस्ट ज्यादा भी नहीं होनी चाहिए कुछ, और कुछ कम भी नहीं होनी चाहिए, तो सर उसके अंदर कैसे करें कि कुछ ज्यादा, इससे ज्यादा होगी कॉस्ट बहुत ज्यादा हो जाएगी, कम होगी तो बहुत कम होगी।
उसमें भी ना हाइपोथेटिकल नंबर में बोला है, it should not be too high, it should not be too low. In that case what happens is it's on your discretion कि आपको उसको adequate amount रखना है which is defensible in all grounds. For example, आप raw material ये नहीं बोल देते कि हम 1000 रुपए का ला सकते हैं, इतना तो सबको पता है कि इसमें कम से कम 50,000 का सामान तो आएगा ही आएगा, उस केस में उसको स्पाइक भी नहीं करते। तभी हम ये कह रहे हैं कि फॉर एग्जांपल जो फॉक्स डैम्पर है, आजकल के टाइम में फॉक्स डैम्पर तो फिर भी रेडीली अवेलेबल होने लगे, पर जब हम खरीदते थे सामान, या इवन 2 साल पुरानी टीम्स भी खरीदती थी, उनको हाई इंपोर्ट ड्यूटी देनी पड़ती थी। उन चीजों को स्टैंडर्डाइज करने के लिए हमने क्या कर दिया कि हमने खुद बता दिया कि ये इतने का है, इसको आप इतने से ज्यादा यूज कर ही नहीं सकते, इसलिए हमने बताया। चाहे आपने डैम्पर 90,000 का भी लिख रखा है, जब उसकी कॉस्ट हमने बता दी कि 40,000 है, वो 40, इसमें अनफेयर एडवांटेज किसी के लिए भी नहीं है, क्योंकि अगर एक चीज क्रॉस दी बोर्ड सेम करती है तो आप भी 40,000 डालोगे, वो भी 40,000 डालेगा। शिपिंग नहीं आती, प्रोटोटाइप कॉस्टिंग के अंदर कभी शिपिंग नहीं आती। शिपिंग इज अ पार्ट ऑफ व्हेन यू आर प्रोड्यूसिंग ऑन अ मास लेवल।
वो जैसे कि सर मैं कोई पार्ट परचेज किया, एक पार्ट सिमिलर पार्ट सर हमें मिल रहा है दिल्ली में और एक मिल रहा है बेंगलोर में, लेकिन दिल्ली में हमें थोड़ा एक्सपेंसिव है बेंगलोर के मुकाबले, लेकिन उसकी जो काम वाली डिलीवरी चार्जेस है वो कम लगेगी एज कम्पेयर टू बेंगलोर। तो सर उसके अंदर केसेस के अंदर इसमें लगेगा,
उसके अंदर आप रिटेल इनवॉइस डालते हो। अगर वो ओईएम, अगेन आपके पॉइंट पे मैं आता हूं, वो अगर ओईएम है तो उसकी कॉस्ट हमने बता रखी है। अगर वो एक OEM नहीं है तो आप हमें बता, अगर वो OEM है और हमने उसकी कॉस्ट नहीं बता रहे थे तो आप हमें बताओ, हम उसमें मिक्सर में डालेंगे। अगर इस केसेस में कोई भी डाउट होता है किसी को तो प्लीज फोरम में क्वेश्चन पूछो एंड वी ट्राई आवर बेस्ट टू रिस्पॉन्ड एज सून एज पॉसिबल, बट क्वेश्चंस होए तो ऐसा ना हो कि डेडलाइन से 2 दिन पहले पूछ रहे हो, मतलब ऐसे हम भी लेके चलते हैं कि हम 2 दिन तक ही रिस्पॉन्ड कर पाते हैं। इफ यू हैव क्वेश्चंस, जो अनुराग ने अपने सेशन में बोला ना, प्लीज टाइमलाइन मैनेज करो, अभी भी ज्यादा टाइम हुआ नहीं है, यू कैन स्टिल स्ट्रेटन आउट थिंग्स एंड यू कैन बी ऑन टाइम।
Sir, how will you evaluate the delivery charges for different parts of this? जैसे हमने कुछ बैंगलोर से मंगाया, हमारे पास बैंगलोर से आ गया, और कोई मुंबई की टीम है, वो उन्हें डिलीवरी चार्जेस कम करेंगे, तो उस चीज को कैसे इवैल्यूएट करेंगे?
कॉस्ट रिपोर्ट में डिलीवरी चार्जेस नहीं आते, क्योंकि डिपेंड करता है कि अगर इंडिया इतना बड़ा है, मैं दिल्ली से हूँ, तो दिल्ली में सपोज सामान अवेलेबल है, मैं तो खुद जाके ले आया, मुझे कोई डिलीवरी नहीं पड़ी। ऑन द सेम साइड कोई टीम चेन्नई की है, दे स्पेंडिंग थाउजेंड्स ऑफ रुपीस ऑन डिलीवरी, तो जरूरी थोड़ी है कि मुझे मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कॉस्ट। बेसिक डेफिनेशन ऑफ कॉस्ट रिपोर्ट इज द मटेरियल ऑफ द यूजिंग प्रोटोटाइप एंड द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कॉस्ट। इवन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कॉस्ट भी हमने स्टैंडर्डाइज तरीके से बता रखी है ताकि किसी की स्पाइक ना हो। दिस इज नॉट अ टेस्ट ऑफ इफ यू कैन बाय अ प्रोडक्ट एंड मार्केट एट अ चीपर प्राइस। This is a test of your engineering background itself that says that can you optimize things? Can you optimize with the reliability of a particular sub-assembly or a part itself?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Anything?
So we are short of time actually. So we will have all the question and answers. And maybe you can meet us offline. Else you can post queries on forum. So we are short of time. We know you have queries. You can come personally meet us and get it to you.
If not, you can reach out to me. I'm here only so you can answer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shivam sir, for an insightful session. Please give him a round of applause. I would request Dr. Ruchi Thakkar sir to once again come on stage and please present our mentor. Our next speaker for the session is Dr. K.C. Vora sir, advisor BAJA SAEINDIA. Mr. Vora is a visionary leader with impact on research, validation, and skill development arenas. He is a global teacher on automotive engineering, engine and emission, control, and electric mobility. Sir, we are highly elated to once again welcome you. I would request Mr. Mausam Sharma sir to kindly present Vora sir with a sapling.
Hello? Yeah. So good afternoon. So I'm going to quickly talk about the design event. And also, you must have received a lot of information, kiski kya last date hai, cost report, sales report, design report. So quickly, I will also show you that table. So this is the situation. Guidelines हमने release कर दी है. Devan, have you released innovation event guidelines? Anyone knows? Jay? Pranav, have you released innovation event guidelines? Not yet, no? Okay. So innovation guidelines we will release maybe next week, but other guidelines have been released. And the last date for all of this is in the month of November. So you have time more than 15 to 20 days to prepare your report and submit online, right? There are various documents which are mentioned in the guideline. Please ensure that you give responsibility for all this to different people. डिजाइन का एक बनाएगा, गोगलिन का एक बनाएगा, कॉस्ट का अलग बनाएगा. ऐसे in your team you give responsibility to each and every person or maybe a set of two people. Okay, you have to submit all these documents before the prescribed date. And if you don't submit before the prescribed date, then there will be a penalty, like -1 mark per day or something like that. So later on, you must not say, I have submitted but I got 0. Maybe if you submit after 10 days, then you may get 0 then. So all of you by now knows that BAHA is pronounced as BAHA and not pronounced as BAJA or BAGA. So in north many people call it BAJA, in south many people call it BAGA, but the real pronunciation is BAHA. It is still spelled as BAJA. And there are 3 events: preliminary, virtual, and physical. Preliminary already gone through. Virtual is on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd December, and the physical is in respective area between January and June. M-BAHA and H-BAHA would be together in Pitampur in January, and E-BAHA would be in Hyderabad in March, and A-BAHA would be in Pune in ARI somewhere in May, June, July. We have not yet declared the dates. Pranav, we need to declare the dates of all this next week. Yeah, so next week we will declare the dates of all the 4 events, the exact dates, on what day will be the which event, and when is the HR meet, when is the written test, everything we will declare next week so that you can book your tickets. So the philosophy is you have to design a vehicle which is rugged, that is very strong and durable, single seat, only one person will sit, off-road recreational vehicle. So it's used by people in the weekends to run that vehicle. So if you go to US and Europe, you will find a lot of people, lot of old people driving a special motorcycle or a vehicle in the weekends, and they all go together in groups. So similarly, non-off-road recreational vehicle is created for usage by